All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to This Weekend with PKC new show here on Kane Stream. This is the first episode, and I am joined here by what is your title with the Professional Kennel Club, Shane?
Director of Field Operations.
What I thought it was, but I wasn't sure, so I wasn't going to tell. I wasn't going to say it. But I'm with the Director of Field Operations at PKC, Mr. Shane Patton, and we're going to do this every week. We're going to talk a little bit of PKC, what's coming up, what's just happened, all that stuff. I know this weekend it's a slow weekend for you guys because everybody's competing in the tournament champions, stuff like that.
Yep.
So no pro classics, no nothing like that. But Super Stakes is just right around the corner, so we're going to talk about
Absolutely.
that. Talk a little bit of rules. Anything exciting happened last weekend, Shane? I was busy. I never paid. I know what one thing exciting that happened.
What's that?
I won a cast.
Oh, I heard. Yeah, it made the news. I think it made ESPN when you won the cast. So
I won
I,
an open event cast. I was so excited. What else? What else was going on? I know Nortonville had that $100 hunt that I went to last weekend, but I can't remember. I never did really pay any attention and look.
well, we had the Bama Bash for Cash going on
Right.
too. I'll pull up the
Yeah, pull it up. I know. I seen Brett got in a couple nights.
yep. Uh, Brett got in. I'm gonna give you the full results here in just a
Yeah,
second.
let's hear it.
Let's so the semifinals. We had Todd Wright hunting Better Legacy Squeak, who made it to the finals. Clifford Rivers with Buck Creek Crow's Battle Axe, who made it to the finals. Cody Hudman with Skeeter Creek Sugar in the finals. And we also had Wipeout Ambush with Chris Ford in the finals. And they decided to hunt, and Mr. Clifford Rivers with Buck Creek Crow's Battle Axe was
Battle
your
Axe
winner.
tough to Battle Axe tough to beat.
Hey,
That is a winning dog.
he is in the winner's circle just about everywhere he goes.
Yep.
Just about everywhere he goes. And his little one can handle him too. He
Oh
can
yeah,
handle
Max
Max too.
Max does a great job with that dog. I know she when him and her won the youth nationals because that's a hard dog to call too. She chop chop
Chop,
chop a lot.
chop, chop.
She's but man, there's a lot of times I would treat Axe and Max like, no, we're good. Don't you worry about
Yeah.
Axe.
You you just hang on, let me do that. Yeah, I'll take care of Axe. I'll take care of
So
Axe.
you got kind of what was that? Is that a 3 night hunt that Bama Bash for Cash?
Yeah, that's the Bama Bash for the Cat. Actually, it's a 2 night hunt, but they actually had a warm up pro classic, we'll call it, on Thursday.
I
Um,
got you. What about
and,
Saturday? What'd they do Saturday?
well, see, Friday was the qualifying, and Saturday was the semis and finals.
I
So
got you.
it was basically the similar to the old pro hunt format,
Oh, it is a pro like a pro hunt, like a
from
64
back
dog.
in, yeah, it
I
was
got you.
64 dogs, and they divided it up a little different because of the guide situations they had
Oh,
more casts early. They only had 3 late casts. Like they had what, 12 entries late, and then 52 entries early. So
oh,
because of their
wow.
guide situation and so on, that's the way they wanted to break it down. So
Yeah.
they did, and had their qualifying on Friday, early and late, and then semis came back, and that's when Crow Battle Axe got
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
So
What's the payout on that hunt?
I'll give you the entire payout first, through the semis. So first place was 10,000. Second
Really?
place, yep. Second was 5. Third was 35. Fourth was 25. And the cast winners not making it to the finals got 500 each.
Is that what the entry was? 500?
Yes, the entry was 500. Yes, they got their
One
entry
cash, get
feedback.
your entry fee back. You win 2 cash, you're in the money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it
That's
was,
pretty good.
I mean, the split was, I think 5,200, 5,250. So even if they did decide to split, it's a pretty good payday for a $500 entry fee.
Splitting's dumb.
I know. I'm talking to the
Oh,
non-dairy.
a lot of times it makes very good monetary sense.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
there's
does.
a lot of times,
It does.
you looking at a a lot of pro classics and especially open events, there's a lot of times you're a lot better off if you split every time. Probably
Absolutely.
money ahead when you play the
Ab-
percentages.
you-
But
probably without a doubt, that's the
yeah,
case. But they've earned the right. They've made the finals. They want to go hunt for the big money. Let them go. It's their choice and it's their money.
speaking of big money, Super Stakes coming up,
Absolutely.
and it has
Absolutely.
been moved from Princeton, Indiana to Salem, which I love because
Absolutely.
everybody's so
And
familiar.
a
I mean, Princeton
very
was nice. Princeton was
oh,
very nice
absolutely.
facilities and all that. The hunting was pretty good, but move something away from Salem or to move something back to Salem, I always think is a good idea, especially during the spring when the hunting is so great out there. The city of
And
Salem treats you guys so good and all that.
absolutely. This year especially, I mean, we Princeton would not be holding it this year, regardless of where it was scheduled, because the flooding is
Yeah.
tremendous right here. So if it was scheduled to be in Princeton, it would probably be changed, moved, something, because they're dealing with which was a problem every year, as
Yeah.
many of them know. The river always seemed to get out in April, and it's out there again. So, but we're going to Salem, and gosh, Salem's there's no better place to put on a coon hunt than Salem, Illinois.
No,
No
I
place.
agree. Everyone
No.
and you're moving nationals back to Aurora. There's
Yep,
a lot of fond feelings about Aurora from back in the day whenever the World Hunt was there. My
absolutely.
feelings for Aurora was not quite as fond as everybody else's.
I
When I think of
understand.
hunting at Salem and I think of hunting Aurora, and there is a lot of good hunting at Aurora, don't get me wrong.
Oh,
But
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, but I think that's a good place to hold nationals. There's not as many dogs as the World Hunt because of what you got to do to qualify to get there.
Mhm.
It's a better place, to have a lot of hunts where that aren't just huge with 4, 5, 600
Sure,
entries or something's
sure.
crazy. And so, what was the decision making behind moving that back to Aurora?
Well, we Salem has got plenty of events, and we the membership has always wanted something back in Aurora. That's every post and every topic you see, they're wanting an event back in Aurora, Kentucky. We had the Nationals come available, talked to Roger, got things in place, and said, hey, this might be the one to go back and go back to where PKC originated and try to put one on. So contacted Billy Keeling, contacted the tourism board in Aurora, um, talked to Billy, talked to numerous clubs, obviously down there, and the tourism board was great, helpful. Hey, love to have you. I think Aurora's been up and down in the times a little bit. It's a very small town, and PKC was the life of Aurora back in the day.
Oh,
Um, so we're gonna pump some life back into it, and hopefully the first week there of October crown us a national champion in Aurora at the tennis center.
and going back to Super Stakes, why don't we tell everybody real quick? Because there's going to be some other people that have no idea what we're talking about that are watching
Sure.
this. Let's explain just briefly. I mean, we don't have to go into all the ins and outs, but the details of the Super Stakes program because there's a lot of prestige in the spring and fall Super Stakes. They used to be all combined, but now when we split them up, spring and fall, everybody's looking for Super Stakes pups. Everybody's looking for that 1 or 2 year old, to get ready for this hunt. And it's not a hunt. It pays great money. I mean, it's very good money, but it's
Hmm.
not one of the biggest paying hunts of the year or anything like
No.
that. Guys can go on a different weekend and win more or something, but there is a lot of prestige surrounding Super Stakes and that hunt and that event, both spring and fall. What do you think? Let's explain it first, and then we'll get into why you guys think it was so successful.
I'm gonna explain it in layman's terms, very very
Yeah, just
simply.
do that.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
very quickly, 'cause half the time I
yeah.
don't.
You have a sire, you have a dam, you have a litter of pups. You pay the fees to get them in our program, which is the Super Stakes program. Obviously, those pups are then passed out all over the country. Um, and as the Super Stakes come, we have a 1 year old class, a 2 year old class, a 3 year old class, and a baby, which is sophomore, junior, senior, and then the babies are now considered the freshmen. You have to have $100 won in the current year to be qualified, or you have to have $100 if you're a sophomore, 250 if you're a junior, and 500 if you're a senior. That's lifetime. You have to have that lifetime, or have your $100 won, and you're ready to compete. There is a DNA process, and I know some people get a little upset about the DNA process, but the DNA process is there to keep it straight. I mean, I'm not saying anybody would ever do anything, but you know how things can happen. Accidents happen. Dogs get bred by dogs they weren't supposed to, and things happen. So that's the whole purpose in the DNA process. Once you get the DNA done, once you get your money won, your dog's paid up, you're ready to go to the super stakes. And it's probably one of the most prestigious hunts to win because I think it's one of the hardest ones to win. I mean, we've all hunted 1 year old pups before. They can make you pull your hair out, especially when you take them to town. They're
Yep.
looking good in the backyard and down here in the bottoms, and we take them to town, and Lord of mercy, what are we doing here?
And
So
you'll see all
pups,
that during the lower end of the super stakes. You'll see all that, but then you'll also see really polished, holy cow type dogs.
absolutely,
And
yes, yes,
sometimes those dogs can't hold it out through the week. Sometimes
yep,
those dogs that were really unpolished Monday through Thursday all of a sudden become polished on Saturday.
yep. That's
You know,
right. That's right.
it's a wild weekend.
It is. In my opinion, there's probably more dogs bought during the Super Stakes at an event than any other event. Now, they're bought. I mean, the dogs are obviously bought everywhere and transferred, but dogs catch people's eyes at the Super Stakes, and they just got to have them. They got to have them. So it's a hard one to win. You're dealing with pups. There's so many variables, especially like I said, when you get into 1 year old and 2 year old pups, unpredictable as all get out. So some of these dogs that have been in the finals multiple years, that's an amazing accomplishment. I mean, that's so hard to do. People who have been coon hunting their entire lives have said, I've never doubled up at Super Stakes, never doubled up, more or less made it to the finals. I mean, it's a really difficult, difficult event to win. And it's probably remembered. Just about everybody can remember Super Stakes winners of the past. They might not be able to remember this or that, but that dog won the 1 year old Super Stakes back in 2022. And sometimes I'm like, you're right, they did. You got to think. I mean, so they pay attention. People know who wins it, and it's very difficult to win. Very difficult to win. It's,
And you
it's
think of
and
some of the dogs that have won it and went on to just amazing careers, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
throughout their
yeah.
lifetime. You think of the whole 9 yards and dogs like that that just
Hmm. Yes,
or,
yes,
or
yes.
I'm sorry, Screamer.
Yeah,
Look
yeah.
what Screamer's won. you know.
Absolutely.
And then you have
Absolutely.
dogs like Scarlet Thread, who's the same age as Screamer, that's won it. What she won it twice, I think.
Yeah, and then uh Heineman won it with her, and then Billy,
Yep.
uh and that was back to back years, unless I'm wrong. I believe it was back to back
I think
years.
she won as a sophomore. I believe lost in either the finals of or lost in the finals as a junior and won it as a senior.
That may be right. You might be right on that. Yeah.
I think
But
that's what it
she
was. But still, finals 3 times.
she was
Crazy.
she was lethal. She was she was lethal in the super stakes. She was,
And
and there's been, like you
go ahead.
said, dogs that have won the super stakes. Most of them aren't a fluke. Most of them aren't hot for a week and win the super stakes.
But some
Most
of
of them
them are.
are. Some of them are. Yeah, there's some there's some
Give me one of those. I'm
yeah,
cool with that.
yeah, yeah. There's some one hit wonders. I understand, but most of them that win the super stakes are
You're,
consistent and go on to have great hunting careers.
that's one of the reasons those dogs are so valuable going into their super stakes. Say they double up. The
Absolutely.
most valuable dogs I've ever had doubled up as a sophomore.
Yep.
You know, and
Yep.
that's when the money
Yeah.
starts getting thrown around, and they're like, that's a young dog that's done this, and they see the scores where the dog, what he's doing, and all that stuff. And yeah, it's a
Abs-
if you've
There's
got a young prospect that you're looking to turn, several $1,000s on, go out there and double him up. You get your double up money. A lot of these guys will buy that dog, let you keep handling it. You can work out all kinds of good deals at Super
absolutely.
Stakes.
I mean, Friday night, there's Friday night of the Super Stakes, or Friday afternoon, I guess I should say. Like I said earlier, there's probably more dogs bought in that little stretch of time than any other major event, because they're going to take their chance and buy it tonight and hope to win it tomorrow night.
The Spring Super Stakes is and I like Fall Super Stakes too, but the Spring Super Stakes is by far my favorite event. I'm looking forward to it. I know I'm looking forward to covering it, competing in it, all that
It's
stuff. But
it's
what,
many
let's,
people's favorite.
yeah, let's
It's
think about the age divisions. That's the one thing that people don't realize is these dogs are hunting with dogs against their own that are just their own age. They're
sure,
not hunting.
sure,
You don't have a 1 year. It's 1 year olds to almost 4 year olds,
sure.
but your 1 year old ain't competing against an almost 4 year old.
Absolutely not. No, no. And that's what we were talking about earlier. You get 4 1-year-olds out there and things get really interesting, but no, you're hunting against when you go to the Super Stakes, you're hunting against a dog same age as you or within months apart. And that's all the way through 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, down to the babies. You're hunting against dogs. I mean, obviously some have better birthdays than others. We're talking about months apart. And months matter in a baby. I understand that. But when they get 1, 2, and 3, you're 6 months apart hunting against dog the exact same age as you.
Yeah.
And it makes things interesting for sure, but it's an equal and fair playing field, that's for sure.
That birthday only matters in the sophomores, I think, in the baby stakes,
Agreed.
freshmen and sophomores.
Agreed. I
Once these
mean,
dogs are 2.5 years old, that 6 months ain't as big a deal.
no, absolutely not. No, at first the babies and the 1-year-olds, it does make a little difference. But when you get, like you said, when you get to the junior and seniors, they're what they're going to be more than likely, or close to it, and turn them loose, see what happens.
No, it's an awesome event. I'm looking forward to it. Shane, I know
Yeah.
you're busy. Let's close this out with a little bit of rule interpretation. Now,
Okay.
one thing I love about the Freshman Kennel Club is you have a panel, you have an appeal process, you have all these things to go through if you don't disagree, if you don't agree with the judges' calls in a vast majority of the events. There's all kinds of ways to make sure that you get your question heard and all that stuff. But I want to start out with some basics. And this is one question I wanted to ask you, and I did earlier, and I was wrong, which doesn't happen often, but it happened. I mean, it's happened twice now. So
Yeah.
you've got a dog that is struck and treed.
Mhm.
It's a 4 dog cast. Nothing else is struck. Um, the dog is treed. You start walking towards the dog, and it shuts up, and the 2 is running. There are no other dogs struck, just that one dog. There is a 6 minute rule and a 2 minute. A dog has
Mhm.
to bark at least once every 2 minutes on a tree, or it is minus. Dog has to bark at least once every 6 minutes on a track, or it is minus. So you stop the cast, you start the 2 on the dog that is declared treed. Are you running the 2 and the 6 at the same time?
Absolutely. Run the 2, the dog shut up, the only dog you've got struck, and he's treed. You start the 2. When that 2 starts, the 6 is running right along with it. Uh, and the reason behind it, obviously, if the dog barks, first of all, the 6 is going to be broke regardless of whether he's still treed or not. But if he's still treed, obviously the 2's broke and you go on in. But if he leaves at a minute 45, the handler says, "Hey, he's gone, Judge. Minus him." He's still got to bark on track, and that 6 should have been running the entire time. Basically, it's preventing them from getting a head start. If the dog leaves as soon as the 2 started, well, he's got 8 minutes to bark on track now instead of 6. So when that 2 started, that 6 starts, 2 catches him, he's got 4 minutes to open up on track, or he's minus.
Awesome.
That's pretty simple.
That is the rule. You've heard it from the man himself, judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jerry Mall couldn't have said it any better. Shane.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
All right, Shane. Thanks for joining us on the inaugural this weekend in PKC. You and Christy, you guys are going to rotate around a little bit, I think.
Mhm.
We're going to try to get these every week, out to the viewers, keep everybody updated, keep all the rules in interpretations, kind of put them out there. I think that's handy for everybody too, especially hearing it
Absolutely.
from someone like you and not just having to read it in the blue book, which so read your blue book.
Exactly.
Make sure you know that inside and out too. But there are some interpretations, so we can touch on those as these episodes come, and we're looking forward to it.
I can't wait.
Appreciate
I
you being
appreciate you having me.
on. All right, Shane. Take care,
Hey,
buddy.
thanks,
All
Josh.
right,
See you in a couple weeks.
you bet.
Bye bye.